It says live now.
The sinking winds of death.
Oh, there we go. Well, welcome everyone in the non-space that is the internet. Welcome to the Writer's Room. I am your host, Kat, the night editor, and with me this evening is
J.Ishiro, author and alien in a human suit.
And I'm Professor Raptor. I'm gonna eat you.
And I'm John S. Walsh, and I want to thank Ishi and Kat and their listeners for putting the book we talked about last week. I gave it away for free, and it got to number one.
Awesome! How many?
Congratulations, man!
It's a few. It sold a few. I mean, it moved to I'd say I haven't looked actually since I've been on today. I have weird internet habits, as some people here know.
I thought, like I said, of listeners, I heard lizards. J.Ishiro and their lizards. Yeah.
Well, hey, we can't see these people, right? They could be, but anyway. Thanks again to the listeners for taking them. I hope if you liked it, you will drop a review, and if you didn't like it, you give me a hard time.
Definitely. So yes, everybody, please check out John's book, Beast in the Machine, available on Amazon as well. Definitely check out Ishi's most recent short story, Tabula Rasa, also available on Kindle.
Links in the description.
And Professor Raptor, what is currently available for you?
Currently available, you can go to sinsofthefae.com and check out the wonderful book where the gods come down to Earth and become villains, and we must become heroes to save our world.
Which is something we are grossly lacking today in modern fiction, unfortunately. So thank you for helping to fill that gap. And speaking of heroes, I guess we are talking about everybody's favorite anti-hero, Snake Plissken. And what went wrong, if you think something went wrong with Escape from LA? And because we always try to remain positive, how do you fix it?
But before you do that, everybody go to your social media and let everyone know we're live, because YouTube is trash.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, wait. Harble says fixing a film where Kurt Russell surfs a tidal bore so he can get back to killing Nomis faster. Why not paint a mustache on the Mona Lisa too?
Yes, released in 1995, Escape from LA was the long-awaited sequel to Escape from New York, a film that John Carpenter didn't want to do, and boy did it show. After being begged mercilessly by Deborah Hill and Kurt Russell to make another one, he finally caved. The three of them wrote a script together, and it wasn't very good.
And the rest is history.
In fact, my impression of the film was not only was it a pale, over-the-top, overly cheesy Hollywood remake of a classic, it seemed like Snake was highly aware that he was in a shitty remake and kept looking to the audience. Seriously, how many times did he actually look into the camera and look and talk to the audience? So
I can't remember. What I do remember is I kept, as the movie went by, I kept thinking to myself, is this a joke? It just, the Escape from New York was just, it took itself seriously enough.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it wasn't, it wasn't pretending it was, James Joyce or something, but it was, I keep thinking of little moments in it. And the little moments I think of in Escape from LA were all stupid. Whereas in the ones from Escape from New York, I'll give you one example. Remember when he's there for a little while and he's walking and there's a chair in the middle of the street and he just sits on it. Like, okay, that he's thinking like, okay, what the hell do I do? What do I do now?
Yeah, he's fucked.
It's a tiny little thing, but those are the types of details that add up and they really ingratiate an audience. Because it's like you appreciate that. Like they're treating this with a level of seriousness. And again, I'm not talking about having no humor. I'm talking about it's like, no, we're trying to build up the drama some to make it seem realistic. And that one little bit is more it contributes more to the believability of the film than like $1 million of CGI would.
Yeah. And there was a real sense of desperation to the original.
Mm-hmm.
The sets, everything was very convincing. It was obvious what they were going for. And the humor in the film, because there's a lot of humor,
Right.
seemed to come out of the fact that the world was nuts.
Right.
It wasn't this kind of winking at the camera shit.
I will say that just to get it out of the way, my huge problem with Escape from New York is the tape. It's like, okay, he's the president, and now he's going to play a tape of himself giving a speech. What the hell is that all about? You know what I'm saying? At the end, when it's like he's putting a tape just so they could have that dumb joke of the song.
It was supposed to be a dissertation of fusion technology. He was going to share with the
right,
Russians and Chinese.
But I've never in my life seen a politician
Mm-mm.
put in a cassette tape and press play and stand there. That was
It's a MacGuffin. It absolutely is.
Of course it is. And it was like, it was kind of a weak joke, but whatever. But that's my only real problem. The other problems are minor.
But I think the first mistake was them updating the film to the 90s. Clearly, the future wasn't what it was portrayed in Escape from New York. And they kind of updated. I think that was a massive mistake. My first suggestion would be to accept that the timeline diverged in 97 and let it go from there. And have it that it diverged. There was a third world war. The internet didn't become what it was in the 90s. A lot of the technology didn't happen, so everything was big and clunky. A lot of the cars were still old. They really should have kept that instead of trying to jump it forward and having virtual reality and, making it more high tech. No?
Well, that sounds legit. The whole thing just felt both tired and slick at the same time. Like the CGI of that little sub going and everything, even that was like, it really, he got in with this little zippy sub, and it's like, no, he should have been going in some like, horrible rusting, ship with all these horrible people and they're trying to kill him before he even gets there or something. It just seemed like it was trying too hard to be like slick in all the wrong ways.
It was trying to be Alfred Hitchcock. Because they immediately give him the virus and they're like, haha, you only have so much time to live. And then they kick him out there and they're like, if you don't capture you don't capture the girl and bring her back, you're dead. And then he gets over there and they make fun of the virus. They're like, haha, I've got the Plutoxin virus, ha ha ha. Because they knew it was all a lie. And he's like, what? What do you mean? No way.
And Kat and I watched a bunch of scenes before we started the episode. And so we each got our pitch on how we would do the film and fix it, because that's the premise. Actually, this was a request by one of our listeners. Sorry, I don't remember which one, but he had sent me an email asking us to do more episodes where we take a film or a story that didn't quite make it, and we each give our pitch for how we would fix it.
But first, I'd like to welcome Fianna to the room. Hi, Fianna.
Everybody's favorite goofy King Ghidorah.
Hello, Fianna.
Hello. I'm going to mute myself for a second while I rip open my dinner.
Our other lizards. See?
Hell yes. Yes. And for those out there that are interested in what I'm eating today, it's chicken with some white rice and some vegetables. Yay.
Oh,
I thought you said burnt chicken. I was like, why are you eating burnt chicken?
No, I was trying to say bourbon chicken, but I'm just like, my brain's dead.
Ooh, bourbon chicken with rice. That sounds amazing, actually.
The Surgeon General scene should have been longer. They could have done so much with that. And it was a real disappointment that it was just in there.
I spent the whole scene thinking, is that Bruce Campbell? And that was it. Then the scene was over.
Yeah, that was the thing I was asking about earlier. Right, that was like the plastic surgery scene.
Yeah, That and
Plastic-
Kat and I have come to the conclusion that's where Repo the Genetic Opera started.
Yeah.
That was a cool concept. Like I remember thinking, oh, that could be a thing,
Yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
and that would be interesting to have like to have I don't know, put some feelers for that, you know, at the beginning, you know what I mean, and some different sorts of things where it's like a foreboding, you know, and then you see it, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh wow, oh no, you know, what's going to happen, and then we're going to take your eye, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, you know, we want your pretty blue eye, and he's like, what, and you know, and that would have been interesting, you know what I mean, had some, and maybe seen somebody that's like a freak show that, you know, was
Yeah.
one of the depleted like thing, they gave him like the eyes that nobody wanted or something, you know, so you're like a really like horrible looking person, and the only thing and maybe he serves them right so that in hopes that they will give him the good stuff later,
What if he ran
You
the
know?
city instead of the wannabe Che Guevara?
which would make more sense, because what would be valuable? I mean, what is
Yeah.
more valuable than that, right? Then I mean, like even now, pretty privilege is bigger than anything, any other kind of privilege.
Well, that was a big lost opportunity with this film, is that other than, quite frankly, the peppering of Mexicans, you really didn't feel like you were in Los Angeles
Yeah.
or LA.
Yeah.
But, you know, it wouldn't have been too hard to take some of the tropes of the vapid shallowness, the attention on just looks or attention or fame that comes with Hollywood, and expand upon it. I mean, Gremlins 2 did a great job of it, and they were in one building. So, you know, to have an entire city, and yeah, if I mean, I don't think the Surgeon General would have been a good main villain, but I think he would have been a good, you know, secondary villain.
Well, he would have been like a good Destro to Cobra
Yeah.
Kai.
Yeah, exactly. A great Destro character. And like you said, you know, really build up this character. You know, you don't want, you know, him to get you. Or, you know, perhaps you occasionally see people who are missing limbs and stuff, like, you know,
Mhm.
dead bodies on the street. It's like, well, what happened to them? Oh,
Build
the
it
Surgeon
up.
General got him.
Build
It would
up.
have been more
Build it up.
interesting to have plastic surgery disasters fighting Snake rather than
Yeah.
cartoon Mexicans.
Mhm.
And that's you know, something to that effect, like, you know, where you're like you guys said, you're taking it seriously. I just have to say that in honor of the new Superboy and Superman news with Tom Taylor and everything, I would love to say that, you know, what we should do to make this movie better is obviously turn him bisexual, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh yes, get those empty points and then keep it on the burner in case he ever has kids. You know, because he'll get shagging
And
up
his
with a lady.
Doesn't
and the
call
boyfriend
Snake
that
for
he
nothing.
finds has
You know,
to be the most
Snake should-
stereotypical caricature of
No,
bisexual boy ever.
Snake should have had sex with the Pam Grier character, and then she could have given birth to a 3 foot tall midget with blue hair.
Oh boy.
Sorry to have digressed, but I just had to throw that.
Well, you know, honestly, from the last time I watched Escape from LA and all that stuff, it felt like I was being brought in the middle of a story rather than the beginning of a story. Strangely enough, and that's just the way it felt to me. It's just like wow, what's this guy's other adventures?
Well, I think because there's no real development.
Yeah.
There's nothing like Snake. There's no development of Snake.
It's just
Snake's
more.
character was already. It's just like, what
It's
is
just
Snake?
more.
Snake is Snake. I'm Snake. You're Snake. What
There's
do you do,
something in
Snake?
this
I do Snake.
It's
I am
it's
Snake.
way too It's way too stuck on Escape from New York. It's like there's
Yeah.
a 1-to-1 correlation every step of the way, practically.
Yeah, that's what I
and
was
you
saying
just-
in the beginning. Is that
you just
it's
wish
basically
that-
just a beat for beat kind of thing, just in L.A. instead of New York.
and that just shows that they're treating both cities as basically interchangeable.
Yeah.
Whereas if you went, it should have. There's so many things that could have happened in terms of just like in the first place, it could have happened in the daytime, something like that. You know, it's
Well, I mean, there could have been
changed
like
the whole
I was
visual
just
style.
Yeah, well, I was just thinking, like, you know, the whole idea of Hollywood, like Kat was saying, you know, you have Hollywood and Los Angeles, and you know, you have those like elites, right, like running around and everything. I mean,
Mhm.
that's the whole thing. There's the elites and Hollywood and movie stars and everything, and you could have had that holding on to that was almost like a cancer, and it metastasized, and that changed everything, the people and, you know, the area, right? So you show that in the cinematography and the local geography right? In the scenes, in the sets and everything. And then you show it in the people. And that could have really brought something home that would have been powerful. But instead, they kind of just went for like goofy jokes and fourth wall
Well,
crap.
I hate when a sequel is just a bigger remake of the first film. I despise that. I hate repeating tropes.
So you didn't like Star Wars and like what was it, the Force Awakens? I knew.
Not really, no. I mean, it was okay, I guess, as far as what it was.
Well, I was just
but
saying because it was like the bigger Death Star. No, much bigger Death Star.
that was retarded.
It's
And it was
this-
a bad idea for Jedi as well. They shouldn't have done that.
Planet.
I'm like, you're telling me 5 other organizations never saw a planet that became a weapon?
Yeah. So, my proposal, if I was to redo Escape from LA, if you really are stuck on it having to be an escape theme, first off, ditch the remake idea. Snake has escaped or has left New York. He's been out on the road doing his thing. I mean, there's this mention at the beginning of Escape from LA where he had been gunfighting for profit in Vegas. That sounds like a more interesting film. But have it like this. Snake is in LA. World War III is still going on. We get to see some of the outside world. We get to see what LA is like. And then it turns out there is a nuke. Terrorists have planted a nuke in LA. All he has to do is get the fuck out. Make it a remake of Miracle Mile.
Great flick.
That would be my proposal.
Miracle
That's what
Mile
he's
with
escaping.
guns.
Yeah, make it. He's trying to get the fuck out of the city before the bomb goes up. That's it. That's your entire. It's an entire survivalist plot. That is it. He's not working for anyone. He's not. His time limit, the clock he's trying to beat, is when that bomb goes off.
Mm-hmm.
And all the chaos happening around him in this LA that we've envisioned. And he had none of this LA Island shit. None of that.
Yeah.
So that would be my proposal.
I mean, now that I think about it, I forgot if it was Fallout 1 or 2, but they had a whole entire quest chain just surrounded by what you would expect, like a post-apocalyptic New Reno to have. So maybe, yeah, I'm kind of wondering if they should have just like made the movies surrounded, kind of like steeped in what that city was about. Because not all big cities are the same; they each have a different flavor.
Mm-hmm.
So you had an idea as well, Kat. What was your proposal?
Of how the plot should go?
Yeah,
Or...
a pitch for a better Escape from LA.
Oh, well, if you really have to do this idea of Los Angeles being turned into an island, they have right in the descriptor the perfect reason. They say that it's the place where unwanteds are put to be, quote, deported out. What if you turn it into basically Ellis Island? When Ellis Island first started, there was such an influx of people trying to get into the United States that the wait list, I'm not shitting you, is like 2 or 3 years for some people. They were stuck on that island for 2 or 3 years. You had families stuck there that long. Turn Los Angeles into that, where it's people both being shoved out and forgotten about, and people trying to come in to this fabulous new, America, whatever that may be. I don't really agree with the whole idea of it being completely, utilitarian, or not utilitarian, completely, not really fascist, but very controlling. I don't buy that. But have it be LA is where you go basically to be forgotten about. And so you can have as well, make the big bad, because the not Che Guevara is a very sad shadow of Duke of New York.
Yeah, he is no Isaac Hayes.
So instead, make it some greasy producer, or greasy person from Hollywood who's realized that if they continued to operate in this non-zone island, they don't have to pay taxes, and they are not for want of content to produce and put out there, and they don't have to pay anybody. Have it be some greaseball producer, which sets up again the Surgeon General being a great Destro, as
kind
was
of
mentioned.
kind of a Running Man sort of thing.
Yeah,
That's a good idea, but particularly if the person who's in charge is a former producer of bad Roger Corman movies, and he's running LA like he would a movie studio.
Snake in The Running Man would be great.
There you go.
That would
If you
work.
just give him a gun, it'd be fun. He'd just kill everybody.
Escape from Hollywood.
Yeah, Escape from Hollywood.
You're like,
It's The
screw
Running
this.
Man.
You know.
Like, screw your games.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there isn't a lot to the character. He's an attitude, basically. So you have to insert him in a story where that attitude is just driving through everything like a steamroller, and that's what the fun is. The fun isn't that Snake is he's like an everyman or anything like that. It's not. It's because he's a riff on Clint Eastwood.
Mhm.
And just set him down in that place with all these phonies, and just let him run through it, and it'll be like a tour of this crazy movie-based Los Angeles. And there's just so much more you can do than just replaying the same freaking thing. And you just get this vibe from the thing. It's like Kurt Russell really wanted to do a movie where he could say, "Hey, look, I'm in my 40s and I'm in shape." I mean, that really seemed to be like one of the prevailing things about the movie. I mean,
No, that was Soldier, and it was freaking awesome.
Oh, that was horrible.
What I'm kind of wondering is why more of these movies constantly gravitate towards these bigger cities and don't kind of showcase what the rest of the state might be like. The more
Because no one wants
areas.
no one wants to see that, according to what Hollywood says. People just want to see like 3 cities.
It's like, I don't know. I honestly, I think would be a kind of nice charm to see, like, what does the outer area look like if it ends up, either going really, really good or really, really bad.
You said this came out in 95, right?
Right.
Okay, so that was the super decadent time of Hollywood,
Right.
being really pushed on by the like winter scientists coming over and putting chaos mathematics into financial sectors and creating things that didn't exist. And then all that good nice land, or turning everything into basically they just used money that wasn't even there, and Hollywood had more money than they could think of. And they do have, I remember reading about, they have like a lot of clauses where they'll make a movie, but in order to make the movie, like, they have to make agreeances to make other movies, like smaller movies for the people that are within it. And it wouldn't surprise me if that's what this was. And they were just like, we don't care, get it done. It has to be done. Just do it.
Well, it was the other thing too is that the idea that I'm jumping off of what Kat said about this slimeball producer. That was a time when entertainment journalism was huge. Like, people in East Nowhere know who Harvey Weinstein was back then. They knew who they knew what Sundance was. So why don't you just run with it? Take that. That would, I just think that's such a missed opportunity.
The paparazzi kind of thing.
Yeah. There could be like a gang of roving paparazzi or something that, Snake has to shoot, and there's like 50 of them, and he just like shoots his way through them or something like that. It just seems like you could have called it Escape from New York Part 2 and just said, well, it happened in a lot of it. You wouldn't have to make too many changes to make it happen in New York again. It's just not.
Oh, you would just move it. You're just
Yeah,
taking
it's
back
just
to New York.
it's just not particular to the place at all. It's just
What
other
if you
than the
did-
plastic surgeon.
the sequel would be just fuck Jersey.
Yeah, Escape from New York 2. Fuck Jersey.
But no, like maybe Escape from Florida Land. Uh-oh.
What's he doing?
You know,
Running
that
away
would
from
be
the old
interesting.
people
That
from
would be-
Miami? You know,
That would be interesting.
Escape from Florida Land would be a good film.
Yeah.
Killer mutant gators.
Oh my
And
God.
not only
go.
that, warped out like crazy people on mopeds and
Yeah.
other weird
And the-
conveyance.
And they're like retirees in their 80s
It
who've
goes
been
to,
given
like,
some kind
Disney
of weird
World.
drug that they
And
drug
it's
you
a
know,
lords.
weird, like mutated Disney World.
Oh shit, that would be where you said it.
which they
In
have,
It's
a
a small world.
post-apocalyptic Disney World.
which they have
There
in
you
Escape
go.
from LA at the end. What do they call? What do they call it?
Oh, that was what the castle
scene.
by the sea.
Yeah,
That
when they
wasn't
go
very
in with the
good.
hang gliders.
God, that was bad.
Can you imagine SeaWorld in that place? That'd be awesome.
Shamu is out to eat you.
And another thing too is in that in Escape from LA, John Carpenter did the music with Shirley Walker, who was on her own. She's fantastic, but he kind of latched her to do the music in kind of like a 60s Batman style, with drums and everything. It was just god awful. And she was.
I mean, I think if
good.
I were to actually do this, I would just go. I would screw the realistic take on it and go full Shadowrun.
do something.
Yes, I
mean,
agree with this. Take the space shuttle.
Why not?
Escape.
You know why? You know why you got to go over there. You know what the great enemy is? It's a freaking shadow dragon, but he's in the shape of an Asian dude. Go get him.
Exactly.
Speaking-
Multiple penal colonies. It was a repeat. It doesn't work.
Yeah. It's like the freaking basketball game and
That was retarded.
why did you pick this topic for tonight?
Because someone requested it. Somebody asked us to fix the film. And they
Well,
wanted each of us to give a pitch.
You
of
can't
how we would
always
fix it.
choose what you want. All right.
We can find the negative and put matches to it. Fixed.
No, well, I'm of the mind now. I think really it just should have been The Running Man with Snake, and it's in Hollywood. I think that really is what it should have been.
See, you could have mixed the Shadowrun and the Running Man thing. It could be like Shadowrun, right? But it's all like animatronics. And
Well, you
he
can see what the
doesn't know that until he gets into it.
Well, you can see what the proposal was, which is here's the idea: Escape from New York, but in LA. And then they go,
Yeah.
oh, fantastic! It's like, okay, but what would your proposal be?
It's like Speed, but on a
There's
boat.
but without moving vehicles. It's exactly like Speed, but there's no car or truck. It's on a sled.
Well, that would be another one you could do. You could do Dread Traveling Through the Cursed Earth, which, by the way, is based on a Roger Zelazny story, probably the very first true-to-life Road Warrior post-apocalyptic Earth story ever told, Damnation
Alley.
about a biker named Hell Tanner who is hired with a very much Pliskin-type deal of
Yep.
do it or else you go to prison to
Yep.
transport vaccine for a plague across the cursed earth or the contaminated, mutated earth of North America. From what is it, LA to New York, or is it New York? Yeah, LA to New York.
And it's just they did everything wrong. They just did everything wrong with that adaptation. In the first place,
film?
it
Film sucked.
It was god awful, and it just it.
I
when
thought I'd
read-
heard that name before, but I don't know this movie.
when I read the
Boy.
book, when I read the book, I was like, gee, I must have the wrong title because this is nothing like that awful movie. Book is fantastic,
Yeah.
and it definitely influenced John Carpenter on Escape from
Oh,
New
big
York.
time.
It had to.
Hell Tanner. Yeah, very much so. I get that notion.
Yeah.
Another one that you could have taken a cue from is Dr. Adder was set in Los Angeles, and that was another really fucked up take on LA.
That's
And-
K.W. Jeter.
Yeah, and it had it was all about Dr. Adder, who was this screwed up.
Doesn't he
Ripper
cut off
Doc-
people's limbs for sexual gratification or something?
He does a lot of twisted shit, but his main stock and trade was modifying hookers to make them especially pleasing, but it was
Right.
really warped.
Oh my.
Yeah, it was actually pretty disturbing.
This is like a Dylan Moran joke, where he's talking about, he's like, the main ideal here is the ideal body, you would need like a sucker thing for a mouth, it was big and could eat anything at once, and an arse way over there, because you wouldn't want them close together.
You think you're kidding. He was turning women's cooches into sea anemones.
Oh, dear God.
Yeah.
Rated PG.
And
Oh,
We'll
but
there was
since people are mentioning Zilzani, the writer in the
Zelazny.
comments. Yeah, the
Zelazny.
Chronicles of Amber. Some people keep recommending this to me.
I couldn't get through it. It's so weird.
But they keep recommending it to me.
It's so trippy and weird. He's like, I think if I'm thinking about the right one, it's like he's like there's a bunch of brothers and they have weird magical powers, and he's driving in
It's
a
a whole
convertible against
Wait.
a horse,
Yeah,
and he
it's
goes into the
fantasy.
magical sea and learns how to do the magic, and then he comes back out. It's,
Yes, you
what?
do need. Yes, just a passerby. You need to read Damnation Alley. I'm telling you, you have
and
to
if
read
you
it.
don't read the novel, at least track down the novella shorts, a novella he wrote before it, which is the same title.
I actually have never read the Amber books, but I've read a lot of Zelazny's other books, and he has some smaller scale stuff as opposed to Amber, which I bogged down early.
Well, he
on in
wrote a
the-
bunch of stuff before Amber, and then Amber was like his breakthrough.
Right, but he kept writing throughout his career other things, and he wrote these much more smaller scaled ones. For example, he wrote a book called Road Marks, which is about a highway, and the off ramps are to different eras in time. And our main character is a guy who's been running. He runs guns to I think the Babylonians or somebody, and someone wants to get him because he screwed them over and thing. And it's just a very few characters, and the time, each alternating chapter jumps back and forth in time, and there is a joke in the story, which is that this the bad guys have sent this deadly alien robot to get him. I'm kind of spoiling it, but it's okay because this isn't a big part of the book.
From the future?
Right. And he's he's bearing down on our hero Red, and he finally catches up to him, and the killer robot aims at him and nothing happens. And the bad guys goes, "What the fuck?" And the robot is like, "Well, why do you think they left me here?" Meaning the aliens who left him on Earth. It's like, why do you think they left me here? Because I don't work and broken. It's like the whole thing is just like a goof on the, killer robot thing. It's just very light, very enjoyable. And he did one called
My first question is like, if why did they need him to run the guns if they could find the robot?
Oh boy. Now that I think about it, what if this whole escape from LA and all New York and all that, what if Snake Plissken had powers like what happened with the one Arnold Schwarzenegger movie where he goes to Mars, Total Recall? What if they had mutants that had weird psychic powers?
Yeah, Escape from LA needed Quato in it. That's what it needed.
It would have worked.
Yeah,
That really would have
Escape
worked.
What was that?
Because I did find that angle pretty interesting in Total Recall. And I
Which
kept
one?
wondering, how many fake wives is Arnold gonna kill? It's like how far does this onion go? So yeah, I think that would have been interesting for Snake to face off against, even if it would maybe even give the weird psychic powers to all the crazy models. I gotta make myself beautiful.
Well, that's the key, isn't it? What type of villain do you create for Snake Plissken? That would be interesting and different.
Well, I still think an evil game show host, Richard Dawson, really does seem to be the appropriate one. I'm getting to think Arnold was the miscast in that film. But if you were going to do LA, I do think it should have been more Hollywood based and not Che Guevara.
It was very much so.
But really, you would just need someone that is either his mere reflection or something that is so remotely not him. You might want to even go down the Lex Luthor Superman kind of thing, where Luthor is a genius. That would be his enemy.
Well, Well, that and Luther versus Superman, it's like different kinds of reflections against each other.
Right.
You know, like everything Superman stands for, Lex Luthor is like I'm the inverse of that. I mean, even simple contrasts are pretty, attention grabbing.
But I mean, at Snake's core, he's an anti-authoritarian.
I thought when the movie started, I thought it would have been a great idea to have Michelle Forbes' character
Oh yeah,
accompany him, because she was good in what little she had to do, and she is like the man, working for the man. And instead of Snake going alone like he did in the first one, have him have like a keeper with him.
That
And
would have been good.
because I think she's great. I think she's fantastic playing,
Yeah.
kick-ass characters.
she was underused.
Mhm.
She and I kept waiting for her to come back. And
So like have her like betray him at the end or something.
I don't know.
Or since Snake is essentially the man with no name, what if you had him up against Angel Eyes?
Yeah.
That kind of character.
Like Lee Van Cleef from the first one, who
Yeah.
who unfortunately was dead by the time of the
Yeah.
second one. So I mean, I happen to like Stacy Keach as an actor, but he was just not. You can't.
Yeah. How are you going to outdo Lee Van Cleef?
No,
problem
you can't,
was is
can't
that
be done.
Lee Van, you're talking about, a reflection. Lee Van Cleef's character, I can't remember his name, I'm sorry, and Escape from
Hoke.
New York. Yeah, Hoke, thank you. He was a reflection of Snake Plissken. They both had basically the same background. The only difference is Snake went out on his own, where Hoke went through
Right.
the ranks. And so even at the end, you could tell there was a respect there. That doesn't mean Snake liked him,
Right.
but Snake could respect him.
It was
With Stacy Keach, honestly, he was too nice. He was too nice, and he was pleading too much with Snake to come on, man, just do what we want you to do. And and then it turns out he was too much of a dog licking the boots of an asshole.
And Snake and Hoke were both kind of like, remember the old Bogart movies where there's two brothers or two friends, one becomes a criminal and one becomes a priest. They're both completely diverse, but there's that connection. I think you're right. I think that's a great idea. And
I think J.E.C.'s got it right here.
J.E.C. Snake's archenemy would be someone he went to war with but kept working for the government, where Snake became a criminal. Yeah, exactly.
I would have done to fix this, the first thing I would have done was drag John Carpenter into a theater and show him his own movie, Assault on Precinct 13.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Snake in that.
Yeah.
Well, it was so obvious he didn't want to do this film.
No.
I mean, the fact that Deborah Hill and Russell paid for this thing to be made.
Mm-hmm.
So
a vanity project, as and it's, you never feel that Snake is in any trouble. He's always going to be kicking ass. Whereas opposed to if he was in a situation like Assault on Precinct 13, it's like that thing is you don't know who's going to get out of that one.
Yeah, somebody had earlier suggested a siege film with Snake, and that would have worked.
Yeah. And like most of those movies, like siege films, even if you know the hero is going to walk away, you wonder who around him is not going to get away. So there's the suspense.
Yeah.
That would have meant a lot more with characters around him, like you're saying. Then you would have to build up other characters. I mean, that's the thing that obviously, like, these kind of movies really lack the most, is any kind of development, immersion, or investment. Even though we like Snake, it's not enough.
Well, whereas in the first film, Escape from New York, every character, how little you saw of them, were fully developed characters.
Yep.
They had a history. They had motivations. They were characters. They weren't just cameos.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like Ernest Borgnine and Harry Dean Stanton, and they make it, like you said, they make an impression. The characters in this are just like, okay, next, who's next?
Right.
next one.
Mhm.
And it was like a Disney ride. It's like, oh, what's the next thing that's going to be around the next bend of the river? You know,
Yeah, that is exactly what it felt like.
Mhm.
What's around the river?
it didn't feel. It didn't feel. It didn't,
No.
someone just made a suggestion that they should have had cast Eli Wallach in it. He would have been a good character to have. Eli Wallach from Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Yeah.
He would have been a perfect companion for him. Like just imagine him the way he treated Clint Eastwood in Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. You know what you are? You're the son of 1,000 fathers, all bastards like you. And you're, it's better not to talk about her. Well,
No,
you didn't
I
write-
wonder, in a way, maybe Snake Plissken would have been better as a serialized, pulp kind of character.
I agree.
Instead of just being on the big screen, because half the pulp characters, they keep going on adventures, and most of them don't really change, but they can have a greater cast of characters around them that will change.
Right.
Well, Snake is one of those characters where, he doesn't change. The world's in chaos. The world is constantly changing. I would say the other thing that really defined him in the first film was it was a world where everyone was corrupt.
Hmm.
And even though he wasn't a hero per se, he was an honest man. He didn't make any bones about what he was. He didn't pretend. Everyone else in that film is pretending to be something they're not.
Mhm.
Maggie
Like-
isn't a lady.
Yeah, kind of like seeing through a mirror darkly. It's like, yep, they're pretending to be not having spots, but they have spots all over.
I would
And-
argue Cabby was the only other genuine character, and that's why it was so tragic when he
Yeah,
died.
he was delusional. Yeah, he was not there.
Hmm.
And that great scene where we introduce Cabby, where they're at the
At the cabaret.
yeah,
Yeah.
stab a cop with it.
Yeah, and he's having such a good time, and then the next time you see him, he's in the cab saying, "Hey, come on, get in, Snake!" And then he just starts lobbing Molotov cocktails.
Yeah,
It's like that's the character right there. See, I think that Harry Dean Stanton did a good job because he just presents himself as like this worm.
Oh, yeah.
And he just presents it. It's not it's not a deep character, but you get it. Whereas like in Escape from LA, it's like Cliff Robertson. It's like, oh, I get it. He's an evil right winger. I get it. That's his whole character. He's completely unpleasant to watch. It's like, like freaking Hannibal Lecter. It's enjoyable watching him. He's a freaking cannibal, but he's enjoyable watching him. Whereas the characters in this one are just kind of like they're pins. They're set up to be knocked down, and there's just nothing there. Pulp doesn't have to be deep, but it has to be meaningful to the viewer. By meaningful, again, I don't mean philosophical, but it's kind of like I like this guy or I want to see more of this person. None of those characters in
has
Alice.
to give a lasting impression, like Space 1999.
Oh, geez.
Okay, do you really want to talk about space? Go ahead. You've been dying to talk about this.
Well,
Oh.
it basically has simple archetypes in it, but they develop each of everybody in bursts. Like some episodes will focus on a certain set of characters, and then other episodes will focus on other ones. And I liked how they kind of just did a merry-go-round. It wasn't always the commander at the center of things. Sometimes you had an episode that focused on Doc Russell, or even Kano, which I thought it was interesting that they tied him so up with the computer. But I could kind of see them wanting to, they needed a couple of tech guys, and Kano had special implants so he could, interface with the computer. But yeah, I just thought it was just interesting. They took these, like, it almost felt like little vinaigrettes, or however you say it, of these characters.
Vignettes.
Vignettes. There we go. See, I'm eating food, so it's just like I'm food.
Vinegarettes. That's awesome.
Yes.
She's eating food, so food's
Spicy
gonna come up.
characterizations.
Yep. And I find it kind of comical, like how downplayed they made the commander's relationship with Russell in the first season, and then in season 2 it's like full bore ahead.
The new producer did that. The first season was basically inspired by 2001: A Space Odyssey, and trying to have like a gothic horror in space. Which is why when people compare the two, I'm like, they're not the same. I mean, Star Trek versus Space 1999. When they compare them, it's like, well, Star Trek was hopeful, and it's like, yeah, that's not what Space 1999 was. It wasn't trying to be. And then at the end of the first season, the ratings in America, because it was made in England, the ratings in America weren't. They didn't justify doing a new season like that, they thought. So they brought in the same guy who produced the third season of Star Trek, and he made it so much softer. All that 2001-ish cosmic weirdness all gone. Now
Well,
they
it
weren't
wasn't-
lost in space. They were just adventurers. Every week is a new thing for us to see, and oh, isn't it wonderful? And
Well, the thing is, though, but I don't think the season one was completely hopeless. They had a lot of good
No.
points to it as well.
right. I think it balanced that pretty well. I think it did it. I just found Space 1999 to be aiming to be more adult.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it succeeded all the time. I'm not saying Star Trek didn't succeed at what it tried to do. I'm just saying 1999 tried something different. There really isn't another show I can point to that has that that tone. And it had some truly spooky stuff in it, especially that first
Oh
season.
yeah, that's even inspired me to put some more spooky stuff in Epic Protocol.
Well, I wrote a blog once about the episode Dragon's Domain, which if you've seen it, if you saw it 30 years ago, you will remember it. It's about this space probe that encounters this creature that looks like a giant octopus, and it is one of the most blood-curdling things you could ever see if you were 9 years old like me watching this when you weren't supposed to at late at night.
Oh man, even though the effects, the practical effects were really good for what they were. There were some monsters where it's just like the one episode right before the season 1 finale where it was the thing that like ate people and spit their bones back out.
That's the one. That's Dragon's Domain. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like
That's
oh
absolutely
my God.
chilling. That's utterly chilling. That people were screaming. The thing drags them into their mouth, and then it shoots the smoking bones back out.
I don't think I've
And then
seen
what
this
the
one.
other guy figured
You
out.
can see
like,
it on
need-
YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Space 1999, Dragon's Domain. You should see it.
And,
That
and
Sounds like
Kodak's friend there,
a total like a
the other
D&D
guy-
adventure I would have or something.
Oh yeah. You had Kodak's friend trying to take out the monster with regular tech, but he had to go all caveman on it with a hatchet.
Right. It's if only Snake Plissken had to encounter some monsters. Maybe that.
That just reminds me of that. Was it The Reign of whatever with the dragon movie with Matthew McConaughey? And
Rain of Fire.
Christian Bale,
Rain of Fire.
where he like jumps off the cliff with the axe, and he's all like,
And
and
it
it
eats-
just
and it eats-
turn-
and it gobbles
it just
them
like
up.
turns. It just
It's just-
turns its
it
head.
just
And he's like,
swallows him.
okay. Hump. It was so anticlimactic, but it made me laugh.
So, Kat, who would you cast as the producer in your imaginary rewrite of Escape from Los Angeles, L.A.? Who would you cast as the producer, the evil producer who's going to be our villain?
I actually didn't think that far, because I was just thinking, do something different than Escape from New York. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. What
Right.
would be the exact opposite? And I immediately thought of Gremlins 2 with Clamp Industries. And I thought that would be the villain.
Oh, John Glover.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's good.
I
He is-
say make hair metal the villain.
Make hair metal the villain.
Yeah.
So what, like
Concept.
Nelson?
Like
The
like
Nelson
ex
twins are the
rockers
villain?
running around with like machine gun guitars, you know.
Oh, I thought you meant make the genre the villain. Like Snake has to like shoot up piles of records of White Snake or something like that.
Yes, the villain is Winger.
A few people have mentioned that Charles Bronson should be the villain.
Oh, that would
Yeah.
actually be
Awesome.
kind of cool.
He wouldn't work as a producer,
No, you
but
make my day. No,
The only reason why I'm familiar with
I don't like
Charles
mayonnaise.
Bronson is because of Razor Fist's like reward level, like
Yep.
little flash gifts of where Bronson's shooting things.
Or, again, him saying, I don't like mayonnaise over and over again.
no. You know who I'd make the producer? Now you got to think it's 1995. Okay, so we're working off that logic. Gene Simmons.
There you go. Yes.
That's who I'd cast as the producer.
Yes. Actually,
As a
yes.
transvestite.
oldies.
Yes, Gene Simmons would be
Transvestite Gene
perfect.
Simmons.
Well,
Transvestite.
Have you seen him in what was the film?
Runaway.
In Runaway.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
We're in Runaway. He's just the stone cold business guy.
They did
Right.
not have enough of him in that film.
They
That
did
would have been a
not.
better film if they'd actually done more with him.
Or developed his character, gave him more.
I think it got
everything.
The one
Yeah.
the one scene I remember out of that movie is when he stabs Kirstie Alley in the back of the neck with a knife. I'm like, ugh, God, that's bad. I mean bad in a good way. It's like, ooh, God. I keep remembering that. Remember when she gives him the circuits?
Yeah.
And he like kisses her and then he like jabs a knife into the back of her.
Yeah.
I was like, oh God, what a way to go. That's
But
bad.
yeah, I think an insane Gene Simmons as a TV producer
Yeah,
out for blood.
that would be perfect. That would be absolutely perfect.
And he'd have to do the tongue thing just so
Oh, yeah.
everybody would scream.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Have to do the tongue thing. You can't have Gene Simmons without the tongue. Although it probably would have its own contract, but still.
But
The moment Escape from LA broke me, I think, was when he's surfing and he slaps
God.
Peter Fonda's hand, he gives him the high five. I
that
was like,
was fucking retarded.
This is over. This is
that
done.
was same for me. Yeah.
The movie's done now. I'm just letting it run out.
Okay, tapping out, done here.
Yeah, that was it.
Okay, Dick Van Dyke as a villain would be great. Just cause.
I could see it.
I've got a Dick Van Dyke story for you, actually. But keep
Carol
going.
O'Connor is the villain.
Really quick, remind my Florida brain who Dick Van Dyke is.
The Dick
I'm
Van
like,
Dyke Show.
Chim.
Yeah.
Okay, now I know who that is.
Okay, I've got this is a music industry story for you. Since we're almost at the top of the hour, so I can just kind of completely detour this into a talk that has nothing to do with writing. Back when I worked for 21st Circuitry Records, there was a band that was on the label. It's the first band signed, called Exorcist. And the founder of the label was a member of the band for a while. Anyway, Peter, oh God, I forget his last name. Peter, who founded the band, worked in Hollywood, primarily doing sound effects for television and incidental music. And so when he moved to Hollywood, the number he had been given, he kept getting phone calls for Dick Van Dyke. And after a while, he's like, I'm kind of getting sick of this. So he left an answering machine message. Hey, how you doing? This is Peter here. I've just moved in. No, I'm sorry. Dick's not going to be able to come to the phone anymore because I've got him tied up and I'm going to start cutting his limbs off. And he dubbed in a chainsaw. Yep, I'm cutting him up right now, in fact. And you're screaming in the background and it's beep. And, that went on for a while. And then he gets a message on his machine from Dick Van Dyke. And he's like, hey, I don't find this very funny. You better knock that off. Get this. I don't find this funny at all, sir. I want this.
Oh my God.
I would have.
I'll have my people contact you if you don't take this down. Actual
That's
story.
great. That's
wait
so great.
a second. So modern day people are like,
What
Dick
is-
Van Dyke is no bueno when it comes to names.
What the heck is incidental music? That sounds like something created when somebody falls down a flight of stairs.
It's background music.
Yeah, it's the little
film
background
scores.
music.
I'm big on film scores. So
Okay. They've got the film score, right? But then there's just the little incidental bits of music. Like, for instance, I'll give a real easy one. The in the cartoons when like Bugs Bunny's sneaking up on someone and you hear the dun 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 with each footstep, that's incidental music.
Okay, thank you.
I think also stings like jump scares and stuff count as incidental. Would that be correct, John?
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
No, it's just as far as I've always considered it just another just another phrase for background music, film scores. It's all kind of
One's great
funny.
above
It's like,
elevator music.
it's like incidental. I'm thinking like, so
you
they
know,
what?
if you're ever stuck for a if you're ever stuck in your writing, go to YouTube and look up complete scores. Okay, that people have like recorded, have taken like an entire film score and just recorded as one long track, and just press play and just start writing to it. And because there are, you know, there are highs, there are big part, there are loud parts, there are quiet parts. It goes up and down, and if you just keep with that and just write to that, you will be unstuck. It really is a cool way of feeding your imagination when you're kind of draggy.
Cool.
Well, yeah, I usually have to have something going on in the background, like a podcast, music. You know, that way my brain's just like dee 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 dee.
It's best to
But
edit
you're always kind of
to
like
silence. Best to edit to silence though, because if you are writing to music all the time, you're missing that. Some of the emotion you're getting from the music is gonna make you think, hey, this story's really good. It's like, yeah, and then the person who reads it doesn't have that musical background to it. So just as long as you edit the final draft in silence, I think that's the way I do it. So it'll get.
But the biggest thing is you guys won't be able to develop stuff until you just start putting one foot in front of the other and start writing. Because the one guy on Twitter, I remember reblogging, was like, yeah, it's great that you can get 10K words out of the way in like a stint, but I'd rather do 500 words a day for the whole month or the whole year, because that would equal 180,000 words. So even if you think you're slow, you're not really that slow.
Everybody finds their pace, don't you think? Don't you think sometimes you're, zipping the words out, and sometimes it's like peck, 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 space, peck, peck. There, I'm done for the day. I did a sentence.
Well, then there's is it just typing out words, or is this functional words you're going to keep? How many of those words are going to be cut later? I mean, unless you're doing the pulp writing, which is one, type it out, one run of edits and then you're done. But
the pants writing, just write it until you stop.
Yeah,
it varies. I personally don't know anyone who has one set way of doing it. Maybe people do, but I don't.
But
know.
Again,
I don't know
you won't find what your whole process is until you keep going, because you can get all sorts of advice on the world, but if you don't start writing, well, nothing will happen.
I think the idea of Fiona as a writing consultant scares me. I'm imagining like, Fiona with like a bullhorn and one of those like trumpets with like the ball at the end of it that you squeeze.
Right, monkeys.
And she just comes up behind you and it's like, right, and you're just like, ah,
I think the insane giggles would make it worth it.
Right. It's like the Joker but female. You're like, okay, give me a minute.
You don't get the excuse of writer's block, right? Damn it, right.
The more I think about Escape from LA, the more I realize there were so many characters in it. I mean, there were just so many.
It was all cameos.
Yeah, and they don't add up to anything. It's like you have Pam Grier, you've got Steve Buscemi, you've got Peter Fonda, you've got the Evil Dead, Bruce Campbell, you've got Gina Galano or whatever her name is from Rain Man. There are all these people who they just pop up and then they're gone. They pop up and then they're gone. And then you got Che Guevara and all this stuff. And it's like, it's like they keep throwing characters at you and hoping something will stick.
How do you think they thought that? I think they're like, oh, we have to get all these people in a cameo because we promised them they could be in a movie. So.
And sorry, as much as I agree with a lot of things Razorfist says, no, it's not a good film. Sorry, Razor. I don't agree. Not a good film. And also Road Warrior is not a cyberpunk film. But anyway. Well, we are at the top of the hour, Kat.
Yeah.
Let's call it a night.
All right. So, Fianna, where can people find you?
I'm on Burb Side of Hell at Fianna Wolf 2, and I'm also on Gab as Fianna Wolf, and also Mines as Fianna Wolf. Because again, on Burb Site, somebody took Fianna Wolf before I could.
Those bastards.
Yo.
We'll send the monster from Dragon's Domain after them.
Oh man, it spit out them people real bad.
You got to see it. I'm telling you guys, you got to watch it.
I mean, the
It'll
stuff
freak
they
you
came
out.
up with, yeah, because the instant they go into that dead field of ships, I'm like, guys, don't go in there. Your instrumentation is lying.
That like reminds me of my mom. It's like, you've got to see it. It'll freak you out. You'll never sleep again. It's like,
All right. Hey, okay, ignore me and miss out. Go ahead.
you know what? 7 hours of sleep, brain health. I'm all about it.
Sounds good.
And Professor Raptor, where can people find you?
You can find me at the Buddy Lord on Twitter or sinsofthefae.com. Fae is like from in Scotland, so FAE. And bladeknight.com as well. Find me in any of those places. Feel free to check out the book. We are in our final push. Yay. It's going to be about twice the length it was supposed to be.
Oh, wow. That's great. And John, where can people find you?
You can find me on Amazon with Beast in the Machine. Thank you guys again for last week. You gave me a nice push, and now it's for a limited time. I've slashed the Kindle price to very little, and it's not going to stay that way forever because I got to eat. And on Twitter, JS Writer, the number 6, the number 5. So JS Writer 65. And I'm usually online maybe once a week, and then that's it. So catch me then, and you're going to miss me for a week. I come online just to be
Cokes and Genius are not free.
I show up once a week to because I promised Ishi and Kat I would. So there you go.
And we appreciate your company. We really like you here.
Well, I like having you guys.
You are a bit of a film
computer.
expert, which always helps.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'm just merely Florida woman where you have to jog my memory with show tunes.
We should talk about movies some night.
Sure.
As opposed to remaking movies.
I was going to say, did we just talk about movies?
Well, talk about movies more.
Yes, but better movies.
Better movies.
I just found out what Kat's 2 favorite movies are this week.
Yes, you did.
I ain't telling.
Yeah.
It'll be a surprise episode sometime.
Is this like a deep and dark secret? What
And
is she like?
And I'm pretty sure I know what Ishi's is. Which is
The only thing that would surprise me is if Kat liked like a My Little Pony film or something.
No. No. I am not a pony. No.
And the links for all of this are in the description, by the way. So that's easy to find. Before we go any further, finally, my books, as always, link in the description for Scars. Buy it, read it, love it, review it, please. But what I really want to push right now is the fact that Adventures in Awful, all 12 of the original episodes are now available on Odyssey.
Oh, great. You should see them if you haven't. They're excellent.
Those are hilarious.
Go subscribe to Odyssey so that you are updated when the new episodes come out, because
It's fantastic.
We will be doing Mom.
Yes.
By Emilia Clarke, although I think that's going to take a while because, my God,
Dear God, I'm sorry, Kat, but thank you.
To your listeners who haven't seen those, please do. That's why I contacted Ishi in the first place. Because
what I remember
because Adventures in Awful was so incredible. It was like an education. Yeah. It was like an education. It's like Best of the Worst, but for comics.
Thank you.
Like, what did they have? The Batman, the Batman wedding or
Tom
whatever.
King.
Oh
yeah, the Tom King, where it was like the orgasm spring and everying. That was
dear God.
The cat was just like it's an orgasm spring.
No. It's the fact that it's like, okay, why does Superman have an orgasm spring in the Fortress of Solitude?
Yeah, because he's Superman. He wouldn't really. It might be comical for him to have a bunch of different drinks from different parts of the universe, but yeah, he shouldn't have an orgasmo tub or something.
No. Well, especially when then it's followed up with, it was a trap made by Brainiac. It's like, then why are you jumping into it? That's the stupidest thing in the world.
Got drunk, watched Orgasmo, and thought it would be cool.
And then the implication
Obviously.
that they got busy with the Superman robots. No.
Yes.
So
Like, there's some Freudian shit
because
there.
it's going to take so damn long to do the mom episode, because that book is a slog.
Oh my god, it is a slog.
We're
Well,
in the interim.
It's more than 48 pages. It's
Yeah.
like 3 regular issues combined, and that's just number 1.
And it's all walls of text.
Yeah.
It's War and Peace level of comic books.
It is. It is.
So in the interim, because we want to do an episode soon, we're going to do Gay Superman.
Yeah.
We're
Fabulous.
savaging that fucker.
Why? No. Okay.
Why? Because it deserves to be ripped to shreds.
It
That's
seems
why.
it seems like it's going to be a tough row to hoe to make a parody of that.
You know,
because it's so stupid
Well,
to
it's
begin
not a parody, it's a review. We're doing a review.
What was the one that I saw? The one that's the ripoff Star Wars. What was that one?
Oh,
Cat.
Vacant Queen.
Oh,
that or yeah.
Vagrant Queen. That
watch
one?
it. Watch 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 it. You'll be shattered as I was.
Sadly,
why do you keep wanting us to share in your misery?
For my sanity,
I'm a very
I don't
bad
even
person.
hate watch things anymore. It's not good for my blood pressure, and it's not good for my state of mind for writing Upload Protocol, because it's like I like my weird mix of uplifting sci-fi with creepy cosmic horror elements.
Well, let us know when you get this next one out, because I want to see it.
You'll know when we're working. I mean, I've already recorded it, and you've heard me rant at least twice on shows about it. And poor Ishii has not started editing.
No,
yet.
I've slowly started editing.
Oh, you have. Okay.
The audio, and that's when I realized how long it's going to take. As I started editing the audio, and I'm like, oh god.
No, you know what? Even my silly butt did the whole Eliza coming to the realization she actually loved talk more realistically than what they did with the whole John Kent thing. Jesus Christ.
Well, they even skipped his entire, they took him from a 10-year-old to an 18-year-old.
Yeah.
They skipped his entire coming of age. They could have done it right. They could have done a long form story that showed him, coming into this. I mean, that's the worst part about it to me, is that if you want to do this, if you want to make a character bisexual,
you have to have
then
them come to the realization later.
Don't just say it on on National Coming Out Day so that Tom Taylor can get on the news and smugly talk about how awesome he is. Fuck off.
Yeah, and you know what? Making him
apologize.
bi is a very cheap way of opening up other avenues later. To me, the way they did it right, even though JMS is off the reservation now, what he did with Susan Ivanova, to me, was the correct way of getting you to care about a character, and then you worry about some of the relationship crap later.
Back when JMS didn't suck.
Because he's going to use CW5 as a
Straczynski?
platform for idiocy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Straczynski went off his rocker. I have no faith. Faith is not managing for that's the reason why I'm not even going to hate watch the CW5 stuff.
Yep, Trump broke him. All right.
Trump broke a lot of people.
Well, that is a night. And one more time, go check out Adventures in Awful on Odyssey. And for those of you who did not see it, because very few of you did, the Kim and Kib episode is now available. The episode that was banned within less than 48 hours after posting.
It is there for your enjoyment.
Oh boy.
Yes.
You've watched it, Fiona?
Is that the one where you guys made fun of the gay comic book?
What's that?
Was that the one where you guys made fun of the LGBT comic or whatever?
Yes.
Okay.
I got to see it before it died the first time.
Is that on YouTube?
No, it's on Odyssey. YouTube banned
it
it within
used to be.
Less than 48 hours after it was posted. Mags had it torn down.
Yeah.
I'm there.
That woman
also did
can't
Life is
write. I wish
Strange,
they would
which I
stop
swear-
pretending that she could.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, she's their token. to wheel out whenever they want to say, well, we're progressive. We have a
Well,
trans person.
Well, you know what? Actually, it's all come full circle. The comics scene, the industry's gotten so bad. Mags isn't getting work anymore, and Mags has been reduced to begging for money on GoFundMe to afford HRT.
Well, her show tanked after not even one episode.
Yeah.
I mean, that's some sort of record right there.
Most of the soapboxing people, even in TradPub, live off of Patreon, not any kind of advances they get for their excellent writing.
Excellent writing, quote unquote.
Well, I mean, most writers are in like a writing group for a while, and they don't make a ton of money. But once they get into bigger shows, obviously they do. But yeah, I mean, she was never good to begin with.
I'm so
was
glad
like
I
that.
know nothing about modern comics. These people all sound like they suck.
They do.
Yeah. See,
Well, they
most-
fail up as long as you're LGBT or female or POC. You fail up. They just
It's
keep
the
giving you.
bigotry of low expectations, so we have to have you climb on the backs of other people in order to prop you up, like a proper purse puppy. Bark,
Like
bark.
what I remember the most is that like she was at a convention, and you would think with her name, with the comics, and if it was so fantastic and so amazing that she would just have people lining up around the corner to get to her. Right? There was nobody waiting for her. She was like eating a bag of Cheetos, and her display looked like a sheet.
Lovely.
These people have no awareness of how quickly these things can change in this day and age, with media being what it is. I mean, a guy who was on top of the world last year can be nowhere this year. There's very, very few people who attain a substantial readership and hold on to it. It's so small compared to the number of people who actually are out there trying.
Well, I mean, with the
nowadays,
direct to customer stuff nowadays, you really only need about like 2,000 people.
Yeah.
I mean, all you gotta do is look at what Common America's doing. Like, dear God. But the other thing, though, is TradPub can't even create a David Weber level people anymore.
Nah. Well, it's because all garbage. Well, as fascinating as we've actually gotten into writing talk now,
Yeah.
we're going to call it a night. Thank you for joining us, everyone. And
Thank you very much, guys, and everyone have a great night. I'm going to watch that Kim and Kim thing. I just got it right in front of me right now. You guys have lured me into watching it, so I will watch that.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night, guys. Have a good one.